Now for file download, we expect our command to have this format: download space followed by the file name. And so in our check for this command, we are simply going to split the cmd variable using a white space and check whether its first value is equal to download. So else if strings dot split cmd using a white space, and you're going to store that in a temp variable, and you're going to check whether the first value in the temp variable is equal to download. And if this condition is true, then you can proceed to read the file and send it back to the server. Now for this case, we are going to first start by checking whether the file exists, since the command might be pointing to a file that does not exist, maybe a typo or something like that. So I'm going to create a file right here called file exists, and it is going to return a boolean. So it's going to receive the name of the file, going to return a boolean, and right here we are going to use the start function of the OS package and as you can see, it returns a file info describing the named file. So if the file does not exist, then you'll definitely get an error, and that is what you are going to use. So if error, because this is what we need, and error is not equal to nil, then you are going to return false. Otherwise, we are going to return true. Once we have confirmed that a file exists, the next thing we are going to want to do is to read the file and then send back the base64 string. So I'm going to create another function that will receive the name of the file, read it, and return a base64 string of its contents. So func file underscore b64 file string, it is going to return a string, which is the base64 string. And right here, we are going to first read the file using the read file function of the OS package. And then we are going to return the base64 string. So using the base64 package .std encoding .encode to string the content. Now, once we have returned the file base64 string, we want another function which will now have all these brought together. I can see we have an error right here. So this should be a relational operator. Then I'm going to create another file that I'm going to call getFile. Another function, sorry, called getFile, receiving the file name, which is a string, and it is going to use these two functions. So the first thing it is going to do will be to check whether the file exists. So if the file does not exist, then we are going to simply return. We're going to be returning a string here. So return file not found. Otherwise, we are simply going to return base64 string of the file. However, as earlier on mentioned, in our plan for file transfer, we'll simply be sending the file name, a colon, and then the base64 string. So you're going to do the same right here. So I'm going to have the file, that is the file name, plus a colon, and the base64 string at the end. Now with this function, we can simply now call it right here. So you're simply going to do send response through the connection object to our server, get file followed by the file name. In this case, it is the second value of the temp variable. And that is it, guys, for the download functionality of our malware, and I'll see you in the next one.